Hi, my name is Sophia Closedian, and this is my narrative speech. So today I'm going to be telling a story that all started out with a station wagon. This is not exactly my childhood station wagon, but I just wanted to give you a little visual if you didn't know. My dad's station wagon was always a comfort in my life. We drove it every morning to get bagels in New York, and it was just always something that was there. I grew up on 80s rock music in this car. So to come to my surprise, it was the one thing that brought the biggest change in my life. It transferred me and my entire family across the country when I was just about 10 years old. And that's a big change for somebody almost ready to hit puberty, and it was a lot for me to handle, which is what I'm going to talk about. But I did not think that something I was so comfortable in would make me not comfortable. So this is what it felt like driving in the car, all piled up with all of our things. And our German Shepherd was in the car too, so we were quite packed for the long drive down here. It was quite the learning experience, which I'm going to talk about everything that I learned through moving, because even almost 11 years later, I'm still learning things. So change, it was a big question when I was 10 years old. I remember asking why. We are perfectly fine where we are. Why do we have to move? I just didn't understand that change. And accepting that change and moving on from it is something that you do have to deal with a lot in life. And this was my first big change that I'm almost still accepting, but it's just something that I needed to learn to understand. This is what I felt like. The world is always changing, it's always evolving. Even just little things like moving, or big things like things changing around the country. We're never going to be able to avoid it, which of course I didn't understand, but now looking back at it, there was no way to avoid it. It was inevitable. And at the end, I was happy that we did move. So you can always learn from any kind of change. I learned a lot moving down here. I may not have known it at first, but if you don't learn from change, you're never going to grow from it. So that's a big lesson that I learned in this move. So also dealing with this, I became very familiar with the feeling of anxiety. It was my first experience with the feeling, and now I'm well versed in it. But going to a new school, meeting new people, being in a whole new environment brought a lot of anxiety onto me. And that was a huge part of my move personally. I know my family probably felt that anxiety too, but in a 10-year-old's mind, it was all about me and my own anxieties. So I've learned to cope with it better now, but definitely when I first moved here, it was a lot of anxiety that I had never really experienced being comfortable in my own home beforehand. So I did learn to make a lot of new friends, but I didn't do that alone. I had a lot of support, and which is really important to have as well. When you're going through this change and going through all these new feelings, it's super important to have people around you that understand, or maybe even don't understand, but are trying to help you. It was my mom that pushed me to actually go out and socialize because I didn't want to, and because of that, I met one of my best friends. So that's something that I'm really thankful for, and yet another learning curve in this whole experience. So in the end, I did learn a lot from my experience, and even though that change was difficult for me in the beginning, I really did learn and grow and learn how to cope with new things that I didn't quite understand. And later on, I'm still dealing with the same type of things because, change is inevitable and anxiety just grows as you get older. But because I had that experience at such a younger age, I was able to take it and learn and take it easier now that I'm older and I understand it. I don't have that station wagon anymore, but I do look back on it and appreciate it bringing me here safely, me and my family. And I do bring comfort in it, even if I didn't quite see it at the time. But yeah, that is my narrative speech. Thank you.